The fact that there are so many different types of food that humans can eat, both healthy and non-healthful, is one of the best things about being human. The problem is that some people don't realize the processes involved in making these foods, which can have negative effects on their health. From chicken eggs to juice that has been laced with chemicals, here are 10 foods you'll never buy again after learning how they're made. Number 10. It's highly likely that you or someone you know enjoys eating chicken. It's also likely that many of you enjoy eating a variety of chicken parts in different ways. For example, you might enjoy cooking a bag of chicken breast in the crock pot or grabbing some chicken nuggets for a snack. Of course, there are also the eggs. You can cook chicken eggs in a variety of ways that is genuinely shocking. However, as you've probably guessed, the really shocking part is that preparing the chickens and eggs for their subsequent processes is a very messy process. I'm referring to the occasionally inhumane circumstances found in the world's numerous poultry farms. You have probably seen images or videos of different coops with chickens so crammed in that they can hardly move, or maybe of them being cooped up with no sunlight or, at most, a difficult way to get some. Numerous animal rights organizations have observed that the chicken farms they have removed have even beaten, injured, and tortured the chickens in order to obtain the eggs and then dispose of the chickens. It's a highly problematic market, and people aren't hesitant to voice their opinions. Number 9. Juice is meant to taste good, usually be healthy, and provide a refreshing alternative to other beverages like milk, water, and soda. However, what if I told you that one of your favorite types of juice also happens to contain arsenic? You might ask, that's apple juice, and I'm sure you were drinking it and probably just spitting it out all over the place. This news caused quite a stir when it was first announced. It's not the first time that something similar has been claimed, and to make matters worse, Dr. Oz, who isn't exactly a reliable source, made the initial claim. However, on this rare occasion, he was correct. There was an unhealthy level of arsenic in apple juice, and more importantly, it was the kind that can cause cancer. However, before you start pointing fingers, make sure you know who you're pointing fingers at, because the Chinese farmers should be your target, not the American farmers. As you can see, 2/3 of our apple juice actually comes from China, which is strange because they don't have the same stringent laws about the pesticides they use on their crops as we have. As a result, arsenic ends up in your apple juice. Number 8. Have you ever been preparing food and noticed a hair in it? It can be disgusting, but you handle it and carry on with your day. This is because you know it's your hair and it probably fell off at the wrong time, but imagine how you would feel if you were eating something from the store and discovered someone else's hair in your food. A loud cry would probably be appropriate. Just to be clear, this isn't really your typical hair. It has to do with an amino acid that's used to condition bread and make it easier to process, which is something that everyone can understand. The issue is that the best way to obtain this amino acid is to extract it from human hair, which is precisely what they do in China. They receive a large amount of hair, which they then take to one of their factories where they employ a variety of processes to turn it into a liquid form of this amino acid. This practice is quite disgusting, to be sure, and it's shocking that, had people not informed us about it, most of us probably would not have known about it. However, now that you know, you will be aware that there is more hair in food than most realize. Number 7. If you thought the last one was disgusting, wait until you try this one. Sorry for lactose intolerant people, but this ice cream is one of the best foods on the planet, comes in a variety of flavors, and always makes you feel better. However, if you prefer vanilla ice cream in particular or ice cream with a hint of vanilla, you might be in trouble because you're not just eating ice cream, you could be eating beavers. You're eating a specific part of the beaver, namely its butt. Now, I'm not lying. This is another instance where things aren't exactly as you might think when it comes to vanilla flavoring. The flavor of vanilla can really come out into the product, even if it isn't made naturally. The catch is that the best way to obtain this is to use glands that just so happen to be inside of a beaver's butt. It should be noted that because this extract is so valuable and apparently delicious, beavers were almost hunted to extinction because of it. Thankfully, that was stopped, but I'd be willing to bet your appetite for ice cream has now melted. Number 6. Next up is Mercury Tuna. Of all the known harmful substances that you definitely don't want in your food, mercury may be the most problematic. Too much mercury in your system can cause you to experience a variety of problems, both mentally and physically, which is why most foods are banned. However, as they say, life finds a way, and at one point, tuna, not just tuna, was one of those that was tested and found to contain not only mercury but also arsenic, lead, tin, and more, at levels so high that it can be dangerous without much effort. That naturally begs the question, what happened to the fish for it to have so many pollutants within? Sadly, you are probably already well aware of the answer, which is that fish worldwide are moving and living in increasingly polluted waters. Although they don't directly consume mercury, the waters do infect them and the other fish nearby, which they occasionally eat, causing the metals to transfer into their bodies. Unlike certain other entries on my list, this one is actually widespread. 15 different brands of tuna were tested for metals, and every single one of them had exceedingly high levels of mercury and more. Number 5. Now, ironically, I bet that some of you have not only heard of the product known as goat cheese, but you've also probably eaten it without much hesitation once you realized how it tastes. But I won't focus on that. Instead, I'll discuss the cheese itself, because if you look back at how cheese was made in the earliest days of time, technically, today, you begin with goats, but not their milk. However, their stomach is about to get much more gross than that, because the ancient goat farmers would remove the goat's stomach from its body in the spirit of using every part to transport milk. It's effective even though it looks bad. The catch is that, while goats are said to be the originators of this method of making cheese, it could have happened with sheep, cows, or more. The point is that over time, they learned that the goat's stomach helped make this new product and thus began making cheese in bigger and better ways. Number 4. When honey is produced naturally, it's usually something you can trust without much trouble. The reason for this is likely that bees make the best honey because it benefits their hive, which is very important to them. As a result, they produce the best honey and other products. The issue is that occasionally an unanticipated byproduct can find its way into the honey, which can cause major harm or worse to anyone who consumes it. This is caused by a neurotoxin, and it's a very bad one that can cause vomiting, dizziness, weakness, excessive perspiration, hypersalivation, paresthesia, nausea, and a host of other symptoms. That should go to show you just how much you need to avoid it because of what it can do to people who ingest it. It's called mad honey poisoning. The process was so bad and widespread at one point that even the World Health Organization had to intervene and issue a warning about it. So who says it's bad? Well, they do, and they know what they're saying. Number 3. There are many different ways to make beer, which is part of the fun in some cases when you genuinely get a great brew, but most people are unaware that one of the ingredients isn't very well mentioned and actually comes from fish bladders. You may wonder, though, about what within a fish can help to make beer. Beer is something that is universal as a part of our world for better and for worse, and when it gets taken too far, you know exactly how bad that it can get. That would be, wouldn't it? Glass has been used to make beer since the 19th century, not to mention that it is a refining agent that specifically improves the color of the beer to make it clear and beautiful. We all know that we want a beer that is both delicious and beautiful because those two qualities make a great combination. The issue is that you have to mix the agent with beer after obtaining fish. The second issue is that a lot of people follow a diet that forbids them from eating anything related to fish, which has sparked a movement to remove the problematic glass from brews and find a new substitute, especially since it seems to take away the flavor of beer, and who wants that? Number 2. If you see a pattern, you're not alone. A lot of dyes used in the world come from unexpected sources. You might assume that they're made solely of chemicals, but in reality, they frequently come from animals, including bugs. In fact, this type of dye is so common that you may have seen it in some of your favorite products, such as those you buy from Starbucks. Yes, Starbucks. Since coconut extract is the product in question and does indeed come from bugs, specifically female bugs, why are they used at all? You have to honestly blame the Aztecs for this one, because when the Europeans discovered them, they realized that this extract could go and make things like dyes that would enable the colors of the piece to last a lot longer than usual. Starbucks is actually one of many places that uses bug dye and didn't go and tell their customers about it until somebody found out. The issue is that humans have a strong aversion to bugs, and this extract can cause allergic reactions in some people. As a result, Starbucks and other companies have gradually started to phase it out. Number 1. Let's take a moment to be honest with ourselves. When it comes to how they make their food, McDonald's isn't exactly the most transparent company. Just take a look at the ice cream machine. However, what if I told you that the McDonald's chicken nuggets you've been consuming for so long might not actually be made entirely of chicken? That's the general idea. According to a study, there are actually only 50% chicken in each McNuggets, which is a big deal because the other 50% are artificial ingredients. Before you jump to their defense and argue that the artificial ingredients must be added to improve the flavor of the chicken, you should know where some of these ingredients come from. They include a lot of words I can't pronounce clearly, like dimethylplastic, which is found in breast implants, and silly putty, among other disgusting products. Yes, it is correct. That's the point we're trying to make here, isn't it? It appears to be an anti-foaming ingredient, and when employed, McDonald's not only doesn't dispute it, they even bragged that the FDA found no negative effects on humans after they consumed it. Well, that's all for today. Are you still willing to eat some of these foods? Let's discuss in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.